Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. Are you ready for a great show? First, Tyler Robinson gets himself a high-profile attorney. A federal judge finds the Department of Justice likely violated the rules in the Luigi Mangione murder case. What does it mean? We have a little update on that David investigation, to see why the body was in the front of his car and he had no idea or reported it. Controversy now surrounds the identification of the remains of Travis Deker. We got some information on that shooter down in Dallas yesterday. This day in legal history, a quote of the day, and our dumb criminal. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment below. Hit that little bell for notifications, and go check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. So from an unidentified subscriber who doesn't want to be named, sent me a gift. I'm grateful, I think. Look, it's a picture of Brian Kohberger making one of those weird faces put on a mug. So now I'm going to have the Crime Talk desk, Brian Kohberger, staring at me. So I guess the question is thanks? Go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up for that background subscription service today. Once we get everybody following signed up for this, I will then stop promoting it, ladies and gentlemen. So go do it. All right, go do it. But when you sign up, if you haven't already, you sign up for the background subscription service. You do as many background searches as you want. Say, for example, you're really into true crime, right? And you know these witnesses' names and you want to go find out more about them. You can do it. Use the tools the pros use, ladies and gentlemen. CrimeTalkSearch.com, because that background search is going to give you all types of information. Social media, telephone, emails, criminal history, where did people live, addresses, phone numbers, criminal history as in regards to whether they registered sex offenders, everything you want to know about somebody, married, divorced, you name it. Go to crimetalksearch.com. You're going to be able to do it. All right. Now, one more thing. Guess what? We gave these out. We gave these out at a CrimeCon. Everybody wants one. And guess what? They're flying off the shelves like hotcakes. If you want one, you better go get them now. Only $5, ladies and gentlemen. Go check it out when you go to the link also. And if you haven't got your baked in Colorado CBD dog treats, if you love your animal like everybody does, you want to give them the best. CBD, right? They take out all the bad stuff and they give nothing but the good stuff. CBD dog treats baked in Colorado. Same page in the link below, and more new stuff coming. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be so excited. It's going to be so cool. You can't hardly wait, but you're going to have to wait till next week. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for Thursday, September 25th, 2025. And in a unanimous decision, the Utah County Commission has appointed Catherine Nestor as the defense attorney for Tyler Robinson. That's right, the 22-year-old charged with the murder of Charlie Kirk. Now, the commission also authorized approximately $1 million in supplemental staffing to bolster both prosecution and defense resources amid the ongoing high-profile proceedings. They're going to have to spend more than that. It's a death penalty case, ladies and gentlemen. The appointment of Ms. Nestor, an experienced criminal defense lawyer, addresses the county's obligation to provide qualified representation for indigent defendants. Now, according to the commission, the step aligns with constitutional requirements and was informed by guidance from an independent advisor specializing in such matters. Ms. Nestor has previously handled notable cases, including the defense of Corey Richens, accused of poisoning her husband, and Dr. Kirk Moore, whose federal charges related to fraudulent vaccine documentation were ultimately dismissed. Now, the decision follows the Utah Public Defender's Office determining that it could not represent Robinson due to internal constraints. Nestor, along with an associate by the name of Wendy Lewis and Alex Ramos, had been assigned to the Richens case in 2024 after a conflict arose with the prior counsel. Now, during the commission meeting on September 24th, officials highlighted the exceptional demands of the case, which stems from the September 10th shooting at the Utah Valley University. Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner emphasized the need to uphold equitable legal process without compromising services for our other pending matters. Our responsibility is to ensure that laws are administered justly, supporting both effective prosecution and providing a capable defense. She stated that, and noting that while mid-year budget adjustments are uncommon, they are essential here to preserve operational standards and deliver timely justice to all affected parties. Now, the approved funding will create 2 additional full-time deputy county attorney positions and 2 paralegal roles aimed at managing the increased workload. Specific cost breakdown for these petitions were not immediately disclosed, but hopefully they'll be forthcoming soon. A commissioner by the name of Skylar Beltran, known for his cautious approach to fiscal matters, acknowledged the regrettable circumstances having to make these expenditures necessary. He referenced a recent instance where he opposed a tax increase, underscoring his preference for budgetary restraints. Beltran explained that the request originated from the Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, and is vital, given the county's dual rule in financing both sides of the litigation. This situation is profoundly unfortunate, he stated, involving not only the financial cost, but also the loss of life and the community distress. We must fulfill our duty to maintain the rule of law equitably, despite the burden on taxpayers. Robinson is scheduled to appear in the Utah 4th District Court before Judge Tony Graff Jr. on September 29th for a waiver hearing. The case has drawn significant public attention, obviously, with commissioners stressing the importance of impartiality and thoroughness in light of the broader community impacts. So there you go. $1 million already necessary to fund up both sides, the prosecution and the defense, in their basically state public defender system. And when there's a conflict with the state public defender, the defendant gets an appointed counsel, such as in this particular case. You need to have qualified counsel so that you make sure that the constitutional requirements for effective assistance to counsel in a death penalty case are met under the Sixth Amendment, and you have to adequately fund them. He basically now has 3 attorneys. You need a team in a death penalty case. Usually you got somebody organizing it. You got somebody, is kind of their appellate person. Another one's kind of the assistant. And then you got, the main litigator. So 3 to 4 people, not to mention investigators that are going to be needed, death penalty mitigation experts to go back into his childhood, although this should be pretty easy. I would expect this would be probably one of the fastest moving death penalty cases that we've seen in a long, long time. Next on the docket, Luigi Mangione. That's right. A federal judge finds that the DOJ officials likely violated the rules in the Luigi Mangione murder case. That's right. A U.S. District Court judge has determined that several Department of Justice employees appear to have infringed upon a procedural rule designed to safeguard the rights of a fair trial for Luigi Mangione, the young man charged with the December 2024 murder of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This ruling stems from public statements linking Mangione to unrelated acts of political violence, which defense attorneys argue have irreparably biased the proceedings. Now, Mangione faces both federal and state charges in connection with the Thompson killing, with federal prosecutors pursuing the death penalty case. In a letter submitted by the legal team on Tuesday, attorneys allege that comments from the Trump administration officials and the Department of Justice personnel have prejudiced the case, particularly following recent high-profile incidents such as the assassination of Charlie Kirk and an attempt on former President Donald Trump's life by Ryan Ruth. The filing included evidence of deleted social media posts where DOJ staff reposted and endorsed President Trump's remarks about Mangione. Defense attorney Karen Agnifilo emphasized in the submission that the government has unjustly associated Mangione with left-wing extremist organizations and unrelated violent events, despite no established connections. She stated that such portrayals form part of a broader political agenda incompatible with the criminal justice system, especially in the capital case. His attorneys further clarified that Mangione rejects political violence and has no affiliation with the groups referenced in the official statements. In her Wednesday order, the Judge Margaret Garnett of the Southern District of New York, concurred that the evidence suggests violations of the local criminal rule 23.1, which prohibits prosecutors and their associates from disseminating opinions likely to prejudice a fair trial or the administration of justice. Garnett also referenced a prior court directive from April of 2025, which explicitly required adherence to this rule at all levels of the DOJ, including the Attorney General. Specific instances cited included since deleted September 19th post on X by DOJ spokesperson Chad Gilmartin, who endorsed President Trump's comment during a Fox News interview describing Mangione's alleged actions. Additionally, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt referred to Mangione as a left-wing assassin during a September 22 press briefing. These statements, according to the defense, have compounded prejudicial rhetoric amid ongoing national events. Now, Judge Garnett has mandated that the DOJ provide a response by October 3rd, detailing the circumstances of the apparent breaches and outlining preventative measures in the future. She cautioned the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, that continued infractions could result in sanctions such as a monetary fine or contempt of court citations. Representatives from the Department of Justice and the White House have not provided any comments regarding the matter, which is probably good since they don't want to violate any local rules. And as you may not recall, Mangione has entered a not guilty plea on all of his cases and remains in custody pending the outcome of those proceedings. This is a big nothing burger here, ladies and gentlemen. Political people making political statements about a case. Yes, the Department of Justice probably should have been a little more careful when they were retweeting, but I think it was part of a greater context of the president's interview. And the spokesperson for the president can certainly say, look, the Mangione case, he's a left-wing guy. He's a communist. He shot this healthcare CEO because he thinks healthcare sucks and it's too expensive. That kind of seems like, a political statement. It's a political case. The defense is going to make it a political statement as well when they try to defend their case that he'll more than likely be convicted. And then the question is, does he get the death penalty? This is a big nothing burger. This is the judge putting the kibosh on here to make sure that nothing is going to take place further. Warn everybody, keep your mouth shut about it, but nothing's going to happen. Is it going to result in the dismissal of the Luigi Mangione case? Highly unlikely. If it did, my jaw would probably hit this table and you would hear it, okay? But it's not going to happen. Are they going to dismiss the death penalty? No. Is it going to just get the case dismissed? No. At most, it's going to get the attorneys yelled at a little bit by the judge and say, they'll go up there and they'll genuflect in front of the judge and say, we're sorry, Your Honor. It won't happen again. I mean, it wasn't the attorneys involved doing it. It was people much higher up the chain who, frankly, I bet didn't get a copy of that order, but are aware of it now. So don't get too excited, ladies and gentlemen. Next, the David investigation continues, and we have an update. So movers have removed the household furnishings and belongings from the $4.1 million residence in the Hollywood Hills of Los Angeles, which was leased by singer David, who spells it with a 4, whose legal name is David Anthony Burke. Now, this development occurs amid an ongoing police investigation into the death of Celeste Rivas, a teenager whose dismembered remains were discovered in the trunk of Mr. Burke's Tesla vehicle on September 8th of this year. Now, Rivas was reported missing from her family's home in May of 2024 at the ripe age of 13. Now, according to sources familiar with the matter, she was allegedly entered into an inappropriate relationship with Mr. Burke and relocated to Los Angeles to be with him. Now, Burke, who gained prominence through TikTok and has appeared on national television programs, recently terminated the $20,000 per month lease on the property shortly following a police search that was conducted in part of the investigation. People are speculating, why have there been no arrests thus far? Well, A little bit surprised here as well that there has been a lack of charges, noting that the presence of a dismembered body in the individual vehicle typically warrants some pretty swift action. But the potential offense could include statutory rape, kidnapping, and trafficking, assuming the alleged relationship and cohabitation are substantiated. So I would anticipate arrests in the near future, but attributes delay to the police department moving slowly to make sure that everything is done correctly, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, so that nobody can say they did something in a rush. They know where the guy is. He's probably not going to flee the country, doesn't have the resources to flee the country, and obviously Miss Rivas is dismembered. Anyway, the LAPD has confirmed that the investigation continues without any new developments and has not identified any suspects publicly. Now, Burke's representatives initially indicated cooperation with the police, though he has since engaged a prominent attorney by the name of Blair Burke, who has not commented. Investigators are examining Rivas's background, including reports of a challenging family environment that may have contributed to her decision to leave home. Sure, you can investigate it, but what does it have to do with why she's dead? Anyway, sources indicate she had absconded multiple times prior to her final disappearance. The coroner's office has not yet established the cause or precise time of Miss Rivas's death. Frankly, nor will they, because they can just do their estimates at best. Though her remains found wrapped in plastic suggest that she had been deceased for an extended period of time. Partial remains were returned to her family yesterday, and people have emphasized that such determinations are not prerequisites for advancing charges. Now, the Tesla Model Y registered to Mr. Burke was impounded on September 6th of 2025 after being found abandoned near the leased residence. A foul odor prompted the discovery during a subsequent inspection at the tow yard, and the lease for the property was held by Burke's manager, a guy by the name of Josh Marshall, who initiated the termination of the lease following the raid. The homeowner, apparently an AI developer and cryptocurrency investor, stated that the tenants chose to vacate due to circumstances and noted the availability of a security camera footage for investigators. Police searched the home for evidence, including potential blood trace evidence, though results have not been made public. It is uncertain whether further examination of the property or the vehicle footage will occur. Burke was on tour at the time of the discovery, and his vehicle has not been reported stolen, even as of yet. Now, scrutiny of Mr. Burke's connection to the Rivas matter includes social media images appearing to depict them together during her missing period. Sources allege the relationship began when Miss Rivas was just 12 years old, with her brother claiming Burke transported her in the same vehicle where her body was later found. Online discussions have also highlighted an unverified unreleased track attributed to Burke's referencing a person named Celeste. So obviously the accumulation of evidence is kind of substantial, suggesting significant challenges for Mr. Burke's defense should charges be filed, potentially encompassing concealment of death or other related acts. No doubt, indeed. I'm a little surprised that they don't have charges yet. Now, obviously, everybody's entitled to the presumption of innocence, and who knows? They're probably looking to see who was around. Was Mr. Burke even associated at that time with the car? Maybe he was on tour somewhere. That's really what it's going to come down to. Obviously, they want to make sure they get the correct person. Nobody wants an innocent person to be charged or let alone convicted for something that they did not do. I hope all people would agree with that fact. Next, remember Travis Deker? They said, oh my gosh, we got the guy. Well, guess what? Somebody's saying it's a little too early to say. So police investigating the tragic death of 3 young girls in Washington state face new uncertainty following a federal announcement that the primary suspect, their father, Travis Deker, has been confirmed deceased. Local officials, however, have challenged this declaration, asserting that it relies solely on circumstantial evidence without conclusive scientific verification. Can you imagine the state upsetting the feds when the feds say matter solved? So yesterday, the U.S. Marshal Service submitted a court filing to dismiss murder charges against Deker, obviously the 33-year-old father, citing the discovery of human remains believed to be his. The partial skeletal remains included 2 feet, femurs, and a vertebrae were located on September 18th in a remote wooded area near Leavenworth, Washington, approximately 1 mile from the site where Deker's daughters were found deceased in June. Now, the remains were accompanied by clothing matching descriptions of Deker's attire, prompting the marshals to conclude the death and the case was closed. But the Chelan, Chelan, County Coroner Wayne Harris promptly disputed the federal assessment, emphasizing that no definitive identification has been yet established. He said, quote, "There is no scientific confirmation that the remains belong to him," end quote. They also noted that his office requires empirical evidence such as DNA analysis, fingerprints, x-rays, or visual identification before issuing an official determination. He explained that while the marshals appear to base their conclusion on contextual clues, coroners nationwide adhere strictly to scientific protocols, which can extend the timeline for the results. Harris indicated that the DNA testing is currently in progress, with potential outcomes expected within days, though such process can sometimes take weeks or months. Now, echoing these concerns, the sheriff, Mike Morrison, released a statement clarifying that his department cannot yet confirm Deker's identity or status. "We are awaiting DNA results from the state crime lab, anticipated in the coming days," the sheriff noted, and he's committed to convening a press conference once verifiable information is available, underscoring the priority of maintaining the investigation's accuracy and integrity. Morrison's office had previously informed local media that the marshal's announcement was premature, and the discrepancies arise amid conflicting reports, obviously. A federal law enforcement source informed media outlets that the DNA had positively linked the remains to Deker, a claim now contested by the local police and coroner. The coroner also noted that determining the cause and manner of death remains premature. A full autopsy detail, if released, would be handled by law enforcement or shared directly with the family in line with the state protocols. Now, for those who aren't familiar with the case, this comes back to the discovery on June 2nd of Deker's daughter, Peyton, who is only 9, Evelyn, who is 8, and Olivia, 5, at the Rock Island campground near their father's parked truck. The girls had been bound and zip-tied around their wrists and suffocated with plastic bags over their heads 3 days after Deker collected them from their mother's home in Washington for a scheduled custody visit. The incident triggered an extensive 3-month manhunt for Deker, who was homeless and resided in the vehicle at the time. Now, Deker, who served in the military from 2013 through 2021, part of it on active duty in the reserves and National Guard, and he faced some impending disciplinary discharge due to attendance issues. Because if you don't show up in the military, they kick you out. In recent years, Deker apparently has grappled with significant mental health challenges, including being diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Court records indicate that he was required to undergo some mental health treatment and domestic violence counseling, but did not comply with those orders. His custody rights had been curtailed months prior to the incident, but Deker's wife, Whitney, described him as non-threatening and affectionate toward his daughters, with whom he maintained a positive relationship despite his mental health struggles. Obviously, that didn't quite turn out the way they had hoped it would. Anyway, as the investigation continues, officials emphasize the importance of patience to ensure factual accuracy, and the elevation of the recovery site, approximately 1,200 feet, necessitated helicopter assistance, highlighting the challenging terrain that complicated the search efforts. With DNA results pending, the status of the Dekers remains unresolved, casting doubt on the quick resolution. It's probably him, right? More than likely going on clothing, but you never know. Maybe he's a sly guy like that. Imagine to pull out some remains and put them in his clothing to throw everybody off the trail, right? I guess it could happen. Let's get those DNA results. Let's expedite those things. Spend a few extra bucks and expedite it. Next, how about a little overview on that Dallas shooting that took place? So yesterday, September 24th, a 29-year-old man from Texas, identified as Joshua John, Jahn, started firing at an immigration and customs enforcement facility located in Dallas, Texas. Following the event, John was discovered deceased due to a gunshot wound he inflicted upon himself. Those photos are out there online. We won't show it to you, but let's just say a hunting rifle to the eye. Well, let's just say it's going to hurt and it's going to leave a mark. Anyway, law enforcement sources reported that a bullet recovered near the scene bore the inscription anti-ICE, referring to Immigration and Custom Enforcement, not just the ICE season that comes to Dallas once a year, right? No. So this marks the second occurrence within a 2-week period involving an assailant positioned on a rooftop, discharging a firearm and inscribing messages on his ammunition, just like Luigi Mangione. That's almost like, I don't know, should we dare say copycat? Anyway, senior officials from law enforcement agencies have disclosed that the attack appears to have been driven by political motives, specifically targeting border enforcement personnel. J.D. Vance, the vice president, chimed in and said that he characterized John as an individual exhibiting extreme left-leaning views with violent tendencies. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Dallas Field Office, led by Joe Rothrock, classified the incident as an act of deliberate violence. Shocking. What else would you call it? Undeliberate? Unanticipated violence? No, he meant it. Apparently been planning it for a while. Anyway, police have also not yet disclosed his confirmed motives, but during the shooting, 3 individuals being transported in the ICE vehicle within the facility's secure entry sustained injuries from the gunfire. Now, according to federal reports, 1 victim succumbed to injuries, while the remaining 2 are receiving treatment in a critical condition. No personnel from ICE were harmed, as confirmed by the Dallas police during a press briefing. So what do we know about this guy? So public documentation indicates that Joshua John was registered as an independent voter in Oklahoma and participated in the most recent election back in November. In 2026, he faced charges in Texas for distribution of marijuana exceeding 1/4 ounce, but below 5 pounds, to which he entered a guilty plea for the felony offense. So now we know, apparently, as a felon, he didn't care about possessing a firearm. Now, did he? And people seem to think that just passing laws will do that. Nope, apparently doesn't matter. Anyway, Noah John, the sibling of the deceased, expressed astonishment at the incident, noting that his brother did not display notable opinions regarding ICE or significant engagement in political matters at all. He described Joshua as distinctive in character, without employment, and intending to relocate to a family-owned land in Oklahoma. The brothers were raised approximately 30 miles from the incident in Allen, Texas, and both apparently were Boy Scouts. Noah, the brother, last interacted with his brother about 2 weeks ago, and he observed no unusual behavior. He further stated that Joshua was not skilled in marksmanship. Obviously. Why? Because he was apparently trying to shoot ICE agents and, in fact, hit the people that he was sympathetic to. So not only is he now deceased, he's a terrible shot, and he killed completely innocent people. Anyway, an individual who knew Joshua from their shared Boy Scout troop days and didn't give his name because he was concerned about being retaliated against in some way. Anyway, according to this acquaintance, John expressed frustration over the management of immigration and the lack of empathy for individuals fleeing adverse circumstances. This acquaintance portrayed John as fervent in his belief, but not inclined toward active involvement or violence. Once again, guess they all got it wrong. This friend emphasized his opposition to the use of firearms in such contexts. This person was taken aback by John's identification as the perpetrator, noting their continued relationship and friendship in adulthood until contact ceased about 5 years ago when John planned to move back to Oklahoma. The acquaintance also mentioned that John's father served as a designated troop leader and that John had provided assistance in various personal matters, including relocation, offering support and emotional practice. So apparently an overall good guy, other than he just likes to go kill people from rooftops. Other than that, he's a great guy, ladies and gentlemen. Next on the docket, this day in legal history. On September 25th, 1789, the United States Congress sent 12 proposed constitutional amendments to the state legislature for ratification. 10 of those were adopted in 1791 and became known as the Bill of Rights. A proposed amendment on the congressional representation was never ratified, and another on congressional pay was not ratified until 1992 when it became the 27th Amendment. How about a quote of the day? No power ought to be above the law. Cicero, 57 BC. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Take a look at this video, ladies and gentlemen. This dude is stopped driving girlfriend who's in the car's dad's truck. They're naked, all kinds of people around. But wait, it gets better. He's having sex with his brother's girlfriend. Watch the video. 2 dumb criminals of the day.
We're both going to jail though, right? Okay.
Nothing's for sure right now, unless you got a warrant for something.
No, it's for love.
Okay. Ain't no crime in love. How do you know this young lady?
She's my brother's girlfriend. I actually don't know her last name.
Where'd you pick her up at? Or where'd she pick you up at?
At my girlfriend's house.
And what brought you guys all the way up here?
Sex.
You simply can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.